signal in my focus. I wonder what's causing it.
Hello Michael. Bonjour, hello, ahoy, ni hao. Good that we are here and we have a little bit of fun today. High performance mode. The button is pressed, so let's have some fun with with the poster boy, right? It is today poster boy. Okay, who needs buffing, right? We are in poster boy mode today. That was on purpose. I wanted to see the measurement of how much life is being stolen from us there, to update the official wiki, you know, with the percentage of health which is then being taken off. Huh? What?
In the embrace of Messmer's.
I'm measuring. I wanted to do community work, right? And you know, describe the boss, and in the official wiki, I want to help the community. I thought I would be, you know, I don't only want to help old people and stuff. In real life, I want to help out the Elden Ring community too. I thought that would be useful for people to know. Well, not yet. Not yet. Then we take the unofficial wiki, the shit one. Maybe after that the shit one is not shit anymore. After I put my professional hands on it. I know I don't like it. That's why it is shit. Because I don't like it. What you and Night Rain? We played. I don't think I'm gonna play it. I currently have no plans actually. I don't know how I actually. Didn't I say it already last time? I'm the cooperative or co-op part, and That's actually the little thingy and the life. Is it directly? I don't know. It's not that appealing to me. But I admit I've seen already some cool stuff in there. There is definitely cool stuff, and I did not say that I think that it is actually bad or whatever. I think it is probably quite good, but it's sometimes you just have a feeling that you probably. On the contrary, we have to say it is with 40 or 50 bucks cheaper than the normal game, right? Than a normal full price title. I don't know how long the game length is and stuff. And it's probably, if you like the co-op part, it's probably very good fun. But I don't like if I don't think that I'm. It's 40 or 50. Maybe it's then it's 40 and not 50. It's fine. I think what it's not only the co-op thingy, but I think the one functionality they have from the not survival, from the Last Man Standing, the battle royale games, where the area gets smaller. I thought there are a couple of things I think I really don't feel. On the other hand, it would be nice if you could play it by yourself and how you play Elden Ring. Yeah, it's $40. 39 euros, absolutely. And on the other hand, it seems already to be successful now that I read. I've just seen in SteamDB that it had over the weekend 300,000 concurrent players, which is amazing, and I just see now 3.5 million copies sold, I guess. So it seems to be quite successful. But what I'm seeing here, Michael, next week patch 1.blah will be released and will include several bug fixes as well as improvement for solo expedition. I thought that solo expedition, I didn't know that you could play it solo. I thought you had to play it in a group. That's what I thought. I mean, on the other hand, maybe solo expedition doesn't mean that you can play the full game solo. Maybe it does actually mean that. Would be really funny if we played together and we made the most dogshit team ever. Michael, you don't. If you would do that, wouldn't need to worry. It's like in real life. I would just freaking carry the team easy as eating cake. You know, it would be. I imagine that you are a shit Elden Ring player. Don't you worry. I would carry you through.
In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
I'm gonna later on take a look at some test videos though. I would be curious. Maybe I don't think well, maybe I'm gonna be maybe I'm gonna maybe I have a wrong impression with the game. Oh, that was so stupid. I knew that.
In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
Alright, alright. So let's at least, I wanna not take, perfect, not take damage here. Nice. Welcome back.
Death in the embrace of Messmer's flame.
How many times have I beaten him in your absence? 800 times? I didn't count. It was... I mean, it then always took a bit to actually die, you know, by accident, so to say. That's why the number maybe not that high. Why didn't I dodge to the left? I don't know. That's the moment where I need to turn off the lock-on mode in order to dodge away from him and not towards him. Might be helping out. So Michael, since you are through with the Tomb Raider game, I guess, is there anything new you play? Or are you smart and use all your free time to get better grades in school? Like I did. All my free time went into, you know, working, not for school, but first of all helping the people who need help, and second of all trying to get knowledge for life, right? Tomb Raider, Underworld, the last... Ah, okay. So time well invested.
In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
No, that was sharply out of range. Sharply, nearly not in range. Nearly out of, anyways. Nearly dodged that.
Of gold shadowing death in the embrace of Messmer's flame. In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
Alright, let's try. Maybe that is now gonna work out better. Of gold shadowing death in the embrace of Messmer's flame. That little flame man. I'm actually gonna take a look at the, not that it's gonna change much. Next try, now that I already have inserted everything, I want to actually take a look at the physic, at the flask. Although Although, I mean, I'm not using it. We have the physics, the flask thingy on it, where we can, for higher chance, to do the. Let's take a look. Since I'm not. The thing is with the flask that it is. He's too fast for the heavy attack. I'm gonna throw out to break an enemy's stance. I wonder if I'm gonna switch it around a bit. So I'm not gonna use it anyway. So maybe anything which might be a bit more useful currently. Okay, don't reboost strength in a mixed physic. That ain't that bad. Lightning. Poison. Boost resistance and yet settles in a mix. That obviously ain't bad. Okay. I don't know what I did there. Last bits, which threw me off a bit, that I got to the end of the arena and was not rolling back but going sideways. That threw me a bit off mentally. Not the game's fault though, my fault. To not deal with it accordingly. I thought I dodged.
In the embrace of Messmer's.
Well, practically I did dodge. I just think I did not dodge as I wanted to dodge. Come on, buff up, thank you. Hello Matthew, I hope you're good, buddy. Thank you for saying hello. Have a nice day too. Enjoy the evening. And as I said, thank you for saying hello. I mean, I probably wouldn't have dodged it, but my sight was blocked. That's a nasty game. The game blocks my sight on purpose.
In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
Ay. It's a bit weird. I had a very good feeling in the last stream with this bad boy. Maybe I just need to get a bit warm again with him. But I thought that I would have not... that I would start today with a bit less trouble with the body. So we have a little less trouble with the bro man. But what would I... how did I come to that with someone called the Impaler, right?
Messmer's flame. Messmer's flame. Messmer's flame.
I thought sometimes it's the wrong moment to think about stuff, and a boss fight is not good to think. Why do I have so much trouble to dodge his ultimate today? I don't get it. We are probably gonna hear that quite a lot. But sometimes it is what it is. Okay, got it. Got that. Enter.
Of gold shadowing death in the embrace of Messmer's flame.
Bestial vitality, goblin woe. Flame, grant me strength. That body. That. Traverse, two-hand, dodge, dodge, and this would be the perfect start. Come here, boy.
Of gold channel.
He took that
in the
quite
embrace
literally.
Of Messmer's flame. In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
Ah, that was quick. Didn't see that I would die that quickly. do you think about the Polish president elections? I have just read some in the news, some side notes. I don't have deep thoughts on it, right? I just heard that I wasn't even sure whether I was confused. Was it yesterday morning or this morning that that right-wing president there? I don't even know what was elected. Did they? It was just a presidential election and not for the governing party, right? That he is. That he's asking the question of trust or whatever the precise English term there is. That's what I've heard, but I was not sure. And that he's a right-wing president, right? But more, I'm not very much into Polish politics, I have to admit. How's the political system in Poland then? Is the president is like the chancellor here in Germany, right? It's not like in, it's not like in the United, is it like in the United States? No, I guess not, right? So overall, is it the governing party a right-wing party, or is it just a president who is in a right-wing party? That's, for example, what I do not know with the political system in Poland. To be honest, I don't really know what the hell does the German Chancellor even do. He's the CEO of the German government. He's the CEO of Germany, so to say. Well, practically that's the other guy, but there's, what I understand, different systems there, right? From what I understand, the Polish president does not have that much power like the American president does, but from what I've heard, he has a little bit more power than the Czech president. That's, I think there's a little bit of a difference in some countries, right? For example, in Germany, most times, I mean, apart from if two parties make up the governing party, so to say, isn't it like in France that the president of France is Macron, is in a different party than the governing party is? Isn't there that kind of system too? That's, for example, here in Germany a bit different. I don't know. I have the impression that this is similar in Poland. Wait a tick. So on the other hand, what are ChatGPT didn't, maybe I asked the wrong question. Doesn't help me that much. Let me give the question to you. I have to admit, I just heard with the question of, I don't know if he's going to be giving up his political career there, but that he's going to ask the question of trust, and I guess that leads to re-elections, I don't know. That and right-wing party, I know. I have to admit that sadly, well, maybe not, I don't know if it's sadly enough that in the news here in Germany, actually there are 4 topics which are on the news all the time. That's Donald Trump, that's the Russian invasion in Ukraine, that's the war in Gaza, and how Germany is dealing with the migration thingy. That's the main topics in German news outlets today, or in the last couple of weeks. And then sometimes you have a side note which is just like one line, and right-wing president of Poland, yada yada yada. I have to admit, deeper, I did not dive into them topics. And I heard that Greta Thunberg wants to travel with a boat to Gaza. Gaza Strip.
Restricted the grace of gold, shadow, death. In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
I haven't heard anything about Greta for like 5 years. Yeah, maybe that's better. It's weird. I had the feeling when you asked the thing about the Polish presidential elections, by the way, what do you think about them? And I was talking about the governmental systems, yada yada yada, and all the stuff. I was playing better than when I'm not saying anything and concentrate on the game. That's weird. Maybe Morpheus was right? Don't think you are, know you are. No, I think I just warmed up.
In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
Oh, let me go, you twit.
In
Okay.
the embrace of Messmer's flame.
That's a moment where I should actually try to... I should actually try to lose the lock-on mode and... I think touched it before. Yeah, I don't know what happened. It's a bit different today. Man.
Demonstrative the grace of God, shadow of death, in the embrace of Messmer's flame.
So you are making like 10 episodes of Dancing with Messmer. First of all, these ain't episodes, right? There's nothing with episodes. And second of all, I invested money in the add-on, in the DLC. I obviously try to stretch it as long as possible. Doesn't it make sense, right? That's what every sane person does, right?
in the embrace of Messmer's flame. In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
Alright, I'm gonna very quickly go to the loop, and then we are gonna be going on. Maybe that helps. Here we are. Ah, too bad. I answered all them questions perfectly. I had him down 3 times. Oh, too bad, man. And sadly enough, not on record, man. Yeah, what a shame. But luckily then, I haven't, we can do it all over again, right? On record then. Thank you, goodbye Dima, have a wonderful evening.
Restricted the grace of gold, channel death in the embrace of Messmer's flame.
Oh, this is cocked, man. I don't know. Needed to take too many healing potions this try. Small toilet break somehow shifted my warmness.
Messmer's flame. In the embrace of Messmer's flame. Of gold shall all be dead in the embrace of Messmer's flame.
Alrighty, two hand, just in case. That was smart. Not only was that I want to throw the dagger, by the way, first of all. Second of all, even to recover would have been to move out of this restricted bridge space, or the, not bridge space, but the small entry place there obviously was the worst place to fight him. Or to try to start the battle. Because that restricts the way of moving around, obviously.
in the embrace of Messmer's flame. Messmer's flame.
Alright. Overall, that try was not that bad. I mean, for how it went today, that try was not bad. The beginning was actually not that bad in comparison only today, not the end of last week. It went a bit better. I was more lucky that the Ash of War there actually went through. And there he fumbled. That was more lucky than... There's some small delay with the snakes, so keep that in mind. As I said last time, you can hit these snakes before they dissolve. Alright, delay. Let's hit them. When they, or before they... Oh man. Oh Michael, man.
In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
Yeah, that was quick.
As shall I.
Somehow this, well, not somehow, maybe there seems to be a sweet spot where, or maybe even a couple of sweet spots where I can do triple Ash of War thingy. That might be at certain points good, especially if you hit the freaking bleed damage thingy. This time I got lucky because the bleed damage was dealing more damage, I guess, than the critical hit we could have done to him. I thought about... I wanted to double heal and didn't press the healing quick enough. That was so stupid. By me, obviously. This time there was maybe one time it was not the game's fault, but mine. Doesn't happen very often.
Go stripped into the grace of gold, challenge death, in the embrace of Messmer's flame.
When I pressed the Ash of War button, I, for whatever reason, thought that that would be a very, very smart move. I cannot explain what I was thinking there. You gotta beat him. I bet all my money on you. Oh. If you don't win, I'll go bankrupt, I lose my home and everything. You have to win. Hey, but on the other hand, Michael, don't you worry. If you go bankrupt and you lose everything and you go homeless, just invest and buy a new home, right? It's easy. So no worries, right?
In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
Somehow I'm doing something massively wrong with his special move there. But Michael, I hope you didn't bet all your money that I win on today's stream. Don't put that pressure on me. That you lose all your 3 cents today.
embrace
'Cause I did,
of
yeah.
Messmer's flame.
Then it's your own fault. Then you deserve it. Never. Why? Never trust in a German, right? They always mess things up. If you don't win, you'll be the reason why my mod will never come out. Okay, you know what? We have to. We can. We still have two buddies, right? We have. I do have two support thingies here. You know? Never trusted. Yes, obvious. I wanted to beat him fair and square and hone my skills, right? And now I'm pressurized in using summons, right? I wanted to have a fair fight.
In the embrace.
You have to win, not others. That also does count. And I lose money. Yeah, it's funny how the rules are all coming from you, right? It's actually kind of cool, right? That you haven't even finished school, but you already own a house and stuff, which you can bet on a weird-ass German streamer. You seem to be quite successful. Go on with your life choices. This movement. It is sometimes a bit frustrating when you actually think you have done a lot of damage to him, and then you take a look at the health bar and you realize, well, it didn't do that much damage as I thought.
Of gold shadow death in the embrace of Messmer's flame. In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
Okay, that didn't work out.
Strength of the grace of God gold channel death in the embrace of Messmer's flame.
I hope you gave all your 3 cents to charity, man. All your money. I hope you gave away your house too. And now somebody is gonna really enjoy life and not gonna rely on a German.
Stripped of the grace of gold channel death in the embrace of Messmer's flame.
Okay. But didn't you give all your stuff away a bit early, by the way? We still have a couple of... We have around 60 minutes remaining, actually. Why did you give all your stuff away so early? You had to, okay.
The grace of gold channel death in the embrace of Messmer's flame.
And here I thought actually that the giant barbecues were nasty enemies. I am so bad at doing anything against this move. I sometimes don't know what I'm doing. Pastime until morning. I'm gonna, just in case, actually gonna buff myself again. Didn't you say anything about delivering peak gameplay today? Yes, but since I didn't receive any answer, I gave up on it. I was hoping to get an answer, yes, I'm looking forward to it, and then nothing came, and I thought, well, then I don't need to. Didn't even know if anybody read it, man. You're costing me money, you but why is it my fault, my friend? I mean, if I take all the money I have, right, and bet it on, I don't know, that Max Verstappen's gonna win the Formula 1 championship, right? And then he doesn't win. It's like then me writing him an email and, and complaining that that's his fault that all my money is gone. It You are framing me again as the bad boy, right? Yeah, that's on the other hand, Michael, I know all the money you had for 3 cents, right? 3 euro cents, so that, don't worry, that's not much. You know, go work and maybe you have it in 10 years again. Okay? It's just 10 years you need to work for it. It's not that much money, right? It could have been worse. It could have been 4 cents. I should heal.
In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
Now, that again. That again. Heal up. Two-hand. I want to say double-hand. That would have been the wrong word. Two-hand.
In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
That was a stupid move. I knew that the explosion thing was coming, but on the other hand, quite a bit of damage without using the Ash of War. But I used too many of them healing potions too quickly. Overall, I mean, I'm not there where I would like to be with him. But on the other hand, I learned a bit of things with his fight. A few things like dodging and stuff. A few things I've learned. Since I'm not still dying way too fast and stuff. I knew that move was coming. I was just walking into the freaking arm.
grace of gold shall all be dead. In the embrace.
So I just need to make that progress over to phase 2 to learn phase 2, and obviously not use that many healing potions that quickly. Then everything will be perfect, man.
In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
I just wanted to go to stage 2. I knew that it was just a second. Hello, Iwaldo. Yes, I'd rather get impaled than playing the co-op game.
Restricted the race of gold channel death in the embrace of Messmer's flame.
But I hope you are, I think you said it the last time that you are playing Night Rain. I hope you, you're having fun with it. I've heard they are selling that quite quickly, and it seems to be liked by a lot of players. This boss is freaking cool. Well, currently I don't think he's that cool. Okay, he's not the toughest, but the favorite in DLC. Currently, I don't really like him. Maybe that's gonna change when I've beaten him in, like, next year or something. Maybe I have a different judgment than on him. He's a bit annoying with wanting to impale everything. When I start, he has been tougher than Rilena. Actually, at the end of the last stream, when I engaged him for the first time, I thought, oh boy, what am I doing? I thought that I had more grip on him. But now I currently think he is quite nasty. She is up. Okay, I spent quite some time with her on the other hand, until I was able to beat her. She was tough, that I definitely agree on. But for me personally, the judgment, I don't want to give my personal judgment as of yet. in time.
Restricted the grace of gold, shadow of death. In the embrace of Messmer's flame. Messmer's flame.
Again was the stupidest. Such a stupid move. Why? What was I thinking?
The grace of gold, shadow of death. In the embrace of Messmer's flame. In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
Alright, next try.
gold shadow of death. In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
There we go. I forgot to heal, I wanted to say. Realized that my health bar already got down that far.
The grace of gold shadow of death. In the embrace of Messmer's flame. Messmer's flame.
We are gonna make it at one point. Maybe not necessarily today. Alright, okay, fresh try. Well, maybe not that fresh, but new try. Tries. Of tries, maybe. Well, it started quite badly. Yeah. that I very often greediness overcomes me. You are totally right. I didn't buff me all the way like I wanted anyways. Sometimes going into panic mode is one move I like to do, and not taking healing potions is another move I do like to do quite often. Or not only not take healing potions, but maybe instead of dodging, hitting. And sometimes then I do like to blame it on the game and not on me. But that's a whole different story. Because it cannot be my fault, it has to be the game's fault, right? Makes sense, I guess. Why did I not roll back?
Grace of gold, channel of death, in the embrace of Messmer's flame.
Alright, a couple of minutes, a few tries, and maybe the miracle can still be done today. That would be kind of funny. Yeah, have fun, Ivaldo. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for saying hello. I wish you a good time and enjoy your time with Night Rain. Thank you. Always cool when you tune in, by the way. Always much appreciated. Goodbye. Have a good one. I am sometimes unable to play like a normal person. Oh. Okay.
In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
The angle, by the way, with the snake between his legs, that was not the best angle. That might have been a bit of a naughty angle, but not my fault that the angle was that weird, right? That was not my fault. I am the victim, not the perpetrator. I can dodge that move and I just don't. Okay. Keep in mind, this is the end, although the last try here was then at least stage 2 and then not instant death, but at least a bit it went on. Sunday, you guys, we are gonna be going on. I'm gonna be having a bit of real life on Thursday, so it's gonna be, the next stream is gonna be on Sunday, and fingers crossed that we get this bad boy then down. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the 4 likes, by the way. That really means the world to me. So cool. I just want to say, Michael, we are still good, right? You lost everything. But at least we are still good, right? Thank you for... oh boy. Yeah. Michael, thank you for counting on the wrong persons. Today was a good learning session, Michael. I think. Hopefully we are gonna be then beating him the next time. Thank you for watching, Michael. Thank you for being here and being that supportive. Good night, and may the almighty sleep perfect too, buddy. And by the way, I'm gonna read your Discord message later on. Thank you. Good night.